Sal, welcome to Dad Edge, my friend.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having.
Good to see you.
Good seeing you as well.
Yeah,
nice
man.
to finally meet you.
You as well. I feel like in a way I know you. I mean, even though like social media and all that, but dude, I started coming to supplement superstores when you guys opened up at Mid Rivers when it was Attilio's.
Yeah.
Cause I would drive
back.
Yeah. I would drive like 30 minutes out of my way to go to Attilio's, and then I heard, Attilio's got bought out, and then started seeing you guys over there. So
is that good or bad?
No, it's good, man. I'm obviously still a customer.
Yeah. Well,
so
some people that was bad for, they're probably like, hey, fuck these guys, you know? But no, I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show.
Man.
I've listened to quite a few episodes.
Awesome.
And to be a guest is actually, this is an honor. Thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, we jive on fatherhood all day, every day. So, and you got your hands full right now.
I do
a little bit.
You know what though? I like to live life in fifth gear, and I always think, I'm in a little interesting situation. But if you're going to do it for the story, and have a good story, and one that makes people smile and have a lot of fun. So I have a good dad story, I think, especially, with the business wrapped up in it. It gives me a little bit of experience. It's a fun ride.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that. So just so the audience, for those of the guys that don't know you, how many kids do you have and how close are they in age?
Three. I have three, which is, there's a lot of people like, oh, you only have three. But I got a curveball. I have three within 14 months. So I have a son, Enzo, and when he was 6 months old, found out that my wife was pregnant with identical girls.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was, we went one time, came out with two on the backside, and it was, holy shit. And the catch-22 to that is I was supposed to go on a wedding with my best friend, and him and his wife were getting married in Mexico. And right before we were getting ready to take off, we found out that Raquel was pregnant. And so I had to go tell my best friend, like, hey man, I'm one of two guys in your wedding and I'm not going to make it. And he looked, I remember thinking, he's looking at me like, no, you're coming to the wedding. I don't care. And they all get on the plane. They're all sending me pictures. Now he's the last guy to get married. Okay. So there's 42 people going to his wedding, which is big when you're 35 years old, and, they're cracking beers and sending me pictures, and I'm on my way into the ultrasound. And, you get a little bit of that FOMO, it's your buddies from college and some high school buddies, and we're all in a really good group. We have a great set of friends, and they're sending me these pictures and short clip videos. And we walk in the ultrasound room, and, they put the little wand on my wife's belly and they turn it around. And I'm sitting there because we just had my son. So I'm I got a pretty good aggressive ultrasound vision, I'm like, wait a minute. What is the two thing? And I remember looking at my wife, and she's just like in la la land smiling. I'm thinking, now, just like in an accident, it went real in slow motion. I'm like, wait. That was two. I know that was two. And I'm looking at my wife, and she's not responding. And I'll never forget the ultrasound tech going, there they are. And my wife goes, they, and she starts, just crying. And I'm like, and knowing me, I laugh. I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to have twins, And hear all my buddies piling down on the plane. All I want to do is text them and be like, dude, I'm having twins, Yeah. But, it was 3 and 14 months is my chapter of wildness. And boy, it's been a ride.
And how old are they now?
So I have a 4-year-old and 2 3-year-olds. I'm in the hot seat right now.
And Enzo?
Enzo.
So tell me about that name. That's a cool name, by the way.
Yeah, it's a champion in Italian. I had a unique name growing up. My wife has a unique name. Her name's Raquel. And I think for me, a lot of pros, a lot of cons to having a unique identifier.
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot of Sals, right? So good news is you do something great, Sal seems to ring well. Bad news is you do something bad, Sal seems to ring really loud. And, I think we wanted to make sure our children just had a unique identifier in the sense of, as a name, make it unique and grow into what it is of your own. And I want to raise a strong son. I know it's going to come with a set of challenges, and the name is going to be different, and he's going to have to overcome that hurdle early, as I did. And I know it sounds really weird, but I wanted him to grow into it and find his own way. And Enzo's not a name that outside of Enzo Ferrari that I know anyone to be named of. And I want him to make it his own. And, you know, in my head, I want him to be a champion of his life, not necessarily a race car champion or champion baseball player. I want to be a champion of a man. And my job is to help him get there. So that's why I went that route.
Dude, that is really well said. You got me curious. We're going to explore that quite a bit.
Let's
go. Before we get to that, let's talk about these two young ladies. Oh, yeah. So what are their names?
Isabella and Francesco. And actually I got it backwards. So Franny's my middle girl. They are God's return gift for what I did in college and pro ball. And, you know, some little times afterwards, because I had a lot of girlfriends. But they're my two princesses. They're my ground, my salt of earth, man. It is... my friends always made fun of me because it's my payback, and it's the best payback I could ever get. They're unique and they're identical twins. And I'll tell you a few kind of qualities that you didn't know. They have the same DNA. So identical twins have the same DNA. The egg actually splits completely. So left side, right side brain, everything's completely different. So my girls are really identical in appearance, completely opposite in physical attributes and traits. Right-handed, left-handed. Strengths are completely different. One's wide-eyed and bushy. One's sweet as could be. And so it's really cool to watch them grow up because it's almost like your own little science experiment, right?
Right.
Throw two toys down and they grab the different toy. It's really cool and unique to see from my perspective. But, you know, being a dad of daughters, I don't know a single daughter, right? I just have two. I really wouldn't take my child mix any other way. You know, having a son and identical girls and having them tight. Although the first 6 months, as we talked about earlier, I don't remember anything because I had 3 kids in diapers. But I look at it now and I wouldn't have it any other way. They're going to grow up in the same hunt. But what I'm recognizing is I'm gaining it all in this abundance, which is how I like to live, gear 4, gear 5. But it's going really fast. You know, I don't have that new memory of a newborn and a 4-year-old. I'm just going through it all in one little shot. And so it's so much fun and it's so unique. However, I'm realizing that it's going really, really quick and it makes it hard. So it's a lot of fun though, man. Life is cool. That's what you realize. And I'm proud to be a dad, that's for sure.
I love hearing that, man. So I've got a question for you of what life was like before these kids. But before I do that, I've got, as we were talking, I've got a 15-year-old, 13-year-old, 7-year-old, 5-year-old. Yeah. And I can attest, man. It goes by it goes by so fast. It goes by in a microsecond. Like I remember when we had kids, everybody's like, oh, it goes so fast. I'm like, whatever. It doesn't go that fast. It goes by so fast. My 15-year-old just turned 15 a week ago. And I was like, he's gonna be driving in a year. Like where did that even go? Dude. Like, I don't even know where it went. So it's crazy.
It is crazy. And I think, you know, that talk track that you get from everyone is very, very annoying, right? You're like, oh, it goes so fast. You better pay attention. Right. I was like, yeah, I get it, guy. You know, but the truth of the matter is it, you know, life, I think when you have children, that fast forward button comes on because you're living through their eyeballs or you're trying to do it for them and you almost forget about you in that sense. And that's something that I try to be extremely self-conscious about. But unfortunately, when you're living life through them, for them, you know, life just goes a little bit faster. And it's, I guess it's a chapter of life we need to learn from, you know?
Yeah. It's almost like literally try to slow down and embrace the moments.
This is the farm,
right?
Yeah.
The farm.
Yeah. The farm. So
so what is that?
We just bought a farm and the idea is to try to slow it down.
Nice.
You know, try to create a little bit of different vibe that forces us to slow down.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, because I struggle. Right. I think, you know, everybody always, because social media allows access into people's lives, you know, one of the things people always ask me about balance, and you're never in balance. Balance, I mean, it's this mystery that just exists out in la la land. And, you know, I like to live fast and I like to live to the fullest as much as I can. And realizing when I do that, it goes faster. So I try to be extremely intentional. So my wife and I went out and we've been searching for the last 6 or 7 months. So we bought a little country home / farm so that we could slow down together as a unit. So we can enjoy something as a family. It's a little bit different. We could learn things together as a family that would create our own memories that would hopefully, with the intention to slow things down, you know, have chickens, buy a horse, put up some fences, you know, give my children the experience that of doing something together as a family in a different environment that maybe isn't so comfortable to our day-to-day lives. Because I think, you know, living with intention is extremely important. And we can get caught up in our day-to-day routine and it just goes fast. It's like clockwork, man. Like, hey, 5 o'clock, pick the kids up. And so my intention is to try to figure out how to change that clock and really live it in a different environment at a different speed, which means I'm gonna have to learn new tasks. I'm gonna have to lead in a different way. I'm gonna have a country style lifestyle that I'm gonna have to learn and adapt, but I'll get to learn and adapt it with my family. And that will force me to be extremely present with the intention of growing with them, right? And so hopefully I can slow that down. So I know I kind of sidetracked that from earlier, but that's my intention with the farm.
I think that's so important, especially in the digital world we live in. Yeah, everybody's like, yeah, man, it's like everybody's on their phone. And some of the best experiences that I know we've had as a family and other people I've interviewed as well is getting out of the grind,
right?
Getting out of that day to day, just quick side story when COVID hit and everything was shutting down. I think my wife and I were like for 30, 45 days or so, we were like, God, like this really sucks. Like, why can't life go back to the way it was? Why can't, we see our family? Why can't we go out and do the things we did? And we drew a line in the sand, and it's right in line with the point you just made, which was, all right, wait a second. We're asking ourselves really poor questions here. So what if we ask different questions? And the question was, how might we come together as a family in a way we never have given the circumstances that we are faced right now?
That's right.
And the cool thing that emerged from that question, and we asked all the boys this, was exactly that. Like, what if we did things that we've never done and go places we've never been, and that's how we connect? So for 12 straight weeks, I took off every Wednesday, and we went on a family adventure. We'd go to some place we've never been, do something we haven't done.
Good for you.
And kind of like the farm thing, right? Yeah. And what we realized was a lot of the things we did were out in nature, and we did a lot of hiking. We went caving, we went floating, we went all kinds of places. But one thing that we noticed is when you get away from the grind, kind of like you with the farm,
right?
There's a different connection that happens, and there's that slowdown. Like it's almost like you've just sort of just hit the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. You've taken that pause from the grind.
Of course. And I think that it's the force to be present. And, unfortunately, because we live in such a social world or access to everything world, your phone becomes, it's a pillar of your life. People, whether you want to accept it or not, it's just a reality. The unfortunate piece of that is it takes away your attention when your attention should be extremely present. And I think especially when your kids are young, because it goes fast.
It does.
And, going back to the balance thing, I get asked the question again about balance, but one of the things I do is at 5:30, I wake up every day and I spend an hour and a half with myself and I work out. It's part of my balance bucket.
And do you work out here in this?
No, I work out in the house.
Gym? Okay.
Right. I actually do. Well, at night I try to get one in here too, but at home I spend an hour and a half, whether it's reflection or reading. But the next part of that bucket day is from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'm dad and I set my phone down, and I'm very intentional about setting my phone down and making sure that I'm cooking breakfast, I'm laying with my kids, I'm playing with them, painting nails, playing Barbies, whatever requires of me to be dad at that moment. And then when I let them go, I can now pick my phone back up and go back and be present in a business, right? But those intentions of making sure that you take that time and spend it with them, I think it's our obligation, right? As parents, like we brought them into the world, like we should give them that time. We should give them that undivided, dedicated experience of you. And that's where the phone becomes a little bit of a distraction. So having those times and those moments and being able to be really intentional with being present is extremely important, at least in my experience of raising those kids.
I love that point you just made. So many men need to hear that, especially the dude on this side of the mic.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that discipline from like 7 to 9. And there's got to be, you and Andy and Chris, you guys run a monster business, right? And there are just demands on your time. People need something from you every minute of every day. And it's got to be like really hard to be like, you're playing with your kids and you're like, I just heard the phone buzz. Do I need to get that? But there's that discipline that's involved. So how have you been able to be just really disciplined and focused in on those 2 hours?
I learned, in order to be the best version of me, I have to learn to be happy with me. Right. And when I was younger, really, especially like maybe pre-kids, right into my first, year having kids, I'm a pleaser by nature, and I think a lot of people are. You want to make all your friends happy. You want to make everybody happy. Now you have these new things in life, kids, and I'm trying to run a business, and I'm trying to please everybody. And what I found is I found a lot of emptiness. And and when I say emptiness, like I could never give anything 100%. And I always felt like if I was having an interaction, it was a 25% interaction. And one of my things is I tell everybody here is like, when you have a conversation with somebody today, make sure it's your goal that it's the best conversation that person has today, something that impacts them. Give them 100% of you and be extremely intentional of being present, right? Well, I wasn't doing that in my own life. And I realized, okay, I need to stop letting people rob my time or things distract me from what's most important to me. And even here, like I set my phone over here so it's not in my pocket, so it's not buzzing, so I'm not checking it or feeling it or understanding because I want to be here. And I realized that it was affecting my business, then it was affecting my marriage, then it was affecting my personal health, then it was affecting me being a dad. And I always learned if I'm going to have success, I have to be not only dedicated, but I have to be dedicated to a plan, to a schedule, hey, how are you going to know if you're successful if you're not checking your boxes, right? And so I checked my boxes and I had to really allocate what made me happy. Like who is Sal Frisella? What makes me happy? And I realized I really like myself. I know this sounds really narcissistic, but I believe as a man and women for this, like you need time by yourself and that's okay. And you need to schedule it into your day and that needs being important. I realized that one of my buckets, this goes back to my balance question. One of my buckets is my kids. I want to be a dad. I want to be present. I don't just want to be a successful person. I want to be a successful dad. And so I have to give them that time. That's my second bucket. My third bucket is I love to work. Like I absolutely love these guys and girls here at First Phorm. This is what I do every day is what do I believe God put me on this earth to build. And I'm here and I'm committed to it. And I would do anything for it. And that bucket makes me happy. Making sure that I'm a good husband, that makes me happy. That's a good bucket for me. And making sure that I do fitness. Okay. So those are 5 buckets for me that I realized I need to check in order for me to live my success, right? Like my feel good. And if I do that, I think that I can give everything within those days, my 100%. Maybe it's not 100, but it's much better than 25. And so I realized I got to structure these in my day. That's my deal. That's my jam. That's what I got to do. And so I said, okay, let's bring this plan backwards. Well, fitness and my self time, I can choose into one part of my day. All right, well, let's do that. At 5:30, I get up anyway, every day. If at 5:30 to 7, I work out. I read, I stretch, I work out, I walk on a treadmill. I do whatever I want, actually. If I want to sleep in, I sleep in. That's my time. It's my choice. Nobody else chooses that time. I don't let my guys work out at my gym at that time. I don't accept calls. I don't do anything. That's for me. From 7 to 9, I'm dad. Put the phone down. I'm very present. That's what it is. 9 o'clock, I drop my kids off at school. From at 9:01, I am kicking ass. And if you look at my schedule every single day, I eat lunch at my desk every single day from 9 to 5:30 or 9 to 6. I don't go to lunch. Right now, I've got some guys in a golf tournament. I don't play in golf tournaments. I go to baseball games. I don't do anything. I get paid to be here. And so I give that time to here. But that makes me happy because I'm extremely present. When I go home from 5:30 to 7:30 or 8, I'm dad again. I go right back into that dad bucket. I only get 4 hours a day with my kids. That's what I'm going to give them. I'm going to give it to them 100%. At 8:30, I'm husband. If I'm fortunate enough to get laid by 8:31, I'm back in the game. And we, go back to our relationship. And I let my wife queen. That's my whole thing. My Uncle John told me, this is probably when I was 22, and 22, I'm out, running all the bar scene, doing everything I can. And I remember he gave me this quote and I remember thinking, well, that's total bullshit, but it's like really one of my staple thought processes. And it's, if you want to be king, you must make her queen. You cannot be king without queen. Remember that. And I remember thinking that's such bullshit. I'm going to be king, but it makes sense now that I am in the seat where I'm at. And from 8:30 until we go to bed, she's queen. And I let her queen. Whatever you want to eat, whatever you want to watch, whatever you want to do, I'm down. Because every other part of my day is dictated by me. You dictate this, whatever you want. And it works for us, and so I let her lead, and she leads through other parts of our day. But that's her time. I don't care what she wants to do. I want to be her king, if you will. And so I'm present in those times, and those all make me happy. And I stay in that little schedule, and I realize that I can't let other people rob those times. Those are my times. And I'm very, 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 very selfish about sticking to that, and making sure that, I never let that wheel get wobbly, because the second you start letting people take your Thursday night date night and you're going out to dinner, and then Thursday night date night becomes no more, right? So I'm extremely, extremely selfish with that time. And I think where people become unbalanced or they become unfiltered or they start to lose that is they start to worry about everybody else. And I think being narcissistic in that sense about your own life is extremely important. Like, it's okay to be selfish, like it's okay to want what you want. And I think a lot of times people get confused with, well, I want to serve. Well, that's you. In order to serve people best, you have to be happy, and you got to figure out what makes you happy. And you have to be disciplined to that. And you have to, people are, inherently rewarded by discipline to themselves. And when you express that discipline, you can be the best version of yourself. That's what I've learned.
I'm glad you said that. I mean, that's something that, through this podcast, I realized myself years ago. And I always thought for the longest time, especially when I first got married in 2003, and I think every other guy feels this same way, very similar, is that if I do something for me, even if I just go to the gym 3 times a week for 45 minutes, that is so selfish of me. Almost like, how dare I do that?
Yeah.
Like, steal that time from my family or do whatever. It's so selfish. But, you are exactly right. I think there's a difference between toxic narcissistic behavior, right?
Yeah.
And being like, hey, I'm going to do this so I can selflessly serve on a more profound level.
Of course.
Right. So it's actually not selfish. It's very selfless.
Correct.
Right? But you're doing the activities to fill your cup. So not only can you pour from a full cup, but you can actually pour from the saucer that cup is sitting in. Right.
That's right. Well, and I think there's a cool key to life there. And we're in the fitness business where we have the opportunity and or obligation, right, to help people change their lives. And I always tell them, like, because it is very narcissistic how it comes out, but it's very true in nature and thinking how it's received. And I always tell them, if you want to make it about you, make it about them. And if you learn to live your life and making it about them, what you realize is those people will make it about you. And you have to make it about them and helping them change their life. And usually that's through friendship, through education, through accountability. You're not giving them anything other than your time, energy, and effort. And when you do that and hold them accountable to it, they'll make change. And then you will help. And every time they think about the change in their life, which is what our aspiration is to do, is to take a dad, right, and make the best version of that dad by teaching him discipline and giving him a plan and holding him accountable and helping him change his life. And when he thinks about being a better dad, he thinks about us. So inherently, I've made it about me by helping him. And that narcissistic way of thinking has really changed my life. It's like, I'm a servant by nature with a true intention that makes me feel good, but that's okay. Like, it's a very narcissistic thought, but that's okay. If I want it to be about me, I got to make it about him. We both win in that situation. So is there, what's wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. In fact, I think you do yourself and the other people around you a disservice if you're not taking care of yourself.
That's right.
In fact, you show up as the 50% burnt out, overwhelmed, stressed out version of you versus like, I feel pretty good. Yeah. I'm ready to go.
That's right.
Right. You used some powerful words when you talked about your day. Like, I'm in here and I'm grinding. Like I'm in it. I'm 100%. Like the conversations that I have, I want to make that other person feel like they're the most important person in the room. Those types of things don't happen on accident. They happen because we're intentional, right?
That's
and
right.
we're filled. I do want to ask you about how you make sorry, I'm having a
You're all right.
recruit. No. Yeah. How do you pronounce your
Oh, Raquel. That's Raquel. All right. I'm thinking request. What am I requesting here? No, Raquel.
Raquel. Yes. If I could only talk. So talking about making her the queen. So I'll give you some context, and you already know this, but being on this side of the microphone and working with men as long as I have in this space, many men are like, well, if she's my queen, then I treat her like gold and I allow, like, I can't have anything to myself. Like the schedule that you just laid out, you're able, I think, to do that in a very selfless way, right, and probably a very masculine way.
Of course. Because
you have filled your own cup. On the flip side, there's a lot of men out there like, man, like, does that mean I just let her walk all over me?
Absolutely
like
not.
It's her way or no way. Right. So when you say you make her the queen, what does that look like?
When I say make her the queen, by no means it doesn't mean walk all over, do whatever she wants in that regard. I mean, I let her choose what we do because I think it's her time to lead us. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a very different side of the relationship the yin and the yang, if you will, where it's my time to lead. When it's time to make different decisions, that's when I step up, and she understands that's my time. And I would say that's not her only time to lead, but that's when I allow her to, I don't even want to say feel empowered, because that makes it feel like she's less than me. That's not the case. I want her to be in control of us in that regard. And I think setting boundaries is extremely healthy in a relationship, and her and I have those boundaries, and we have plenty of them. And I think being able to let your relationship spawn into knowing that you don't have to be in control all times is a trust issue, or a trust factor that you need to have with your spouse. Like, hey, listen, whatever you want, girl. I'll do whatever you want. And knowing that when you empower them, they respect you for that. And I think in turn, she empowers me. She lets me king when I need to king, and she knows that makes me feel good. And that's when you found there's a trust factor that comes in play there. Like, hey, I'm going to let you drive. And then you need to let me drive. Mm-hmm. And both things are okay. I think, and a lot of guys do this incorrectly, where it's like, I'm always in charge, and then it creates this little bit of resentment on the backside where she wants to be in charge. And so it creates a little bickering, and a little bickering creates a little bit of buildup, and a little buildup becomes into a little bit of explosion, right? We've all been in that situation. And I've done this the wrong way as well. And on the flip side, guys will interpret the message just like you said. And we have friends like this, where it's like they can't make a decision to save their lives. And the guy's miserable. And okay, how do you fix that? Well, you have to realize what you want and don't want. And maybe it's a new relationship. And that's what I had to figure out in life myself. And, I think the one thing when I met my wife, Raquel, is, I had tried both sides of those relationships, right? I had tried being the alpha male that you see on the internet right now, that everybody tries to tell you, you got to be the alpha. And it's like, all right, bro, I get it. You're alpha, cool. But then I tried the other one where it's like, hey, I'm just going to be the great boyfriend. In both cases, I was miserable, because this one created this like toxic kind of effect. This one created, well, shit, I'd like to have some decision in it as well. And what I've learned is, like most things, meeting in the middle goes a long way. And it's not about always being right. It's about learning that God gave you one mouth and two ears for a reason. Listen. And I think if you listen to your wife, her only time to lead is not 8:30 to 10. It's just, for proverbial sense, that's when I let her queen. I'm always listening. We're always communicating. We're always meeting in the middle. And sometimes we get to watch Yellowstone, right? I want to watch Yellowstone. So it's like one of those things where always gets us in trouble and speaking in absolute truths. However, I've learned, if you marry a strong woman, she's going to want to lead at times. Let her lead and support her in leading. And you'd be surprised, man. Like, my wife's a badass. My wife's a gangster. And I can go to war with her anywhere at any time for any place. And it's not just from 8:30 to 10 o'clock at night. And learning to give her the keys of the car and let her drive. Yeah, at times, especially in my younger years, I was a little bit scared, right? I'm giving up my power, my control. But the truth of the matter is I know that the girl riding shotgun next to me is gangster, and I'm down with that. And so understanding that I have to check down my ego a little bit is okay, because me giving a little bit makes us better. And it's much like in that narcissistic sense. Like, if I'm going to give to her, she's going to give it back to me. And that's what I realized about creating a strong relationship. Now, I fucked a lot of them up along the ride, right? But in creating a strong relationship, much like a great employee or a great leader inside of business, like, I got to give up some of the keys. And the best guys and girls that I have here at HQ, I took the exact same lessons in leadership that you can learn from a relationship, and realizing that I don't have to make every decision in these walls. I'm responsible. I got 12,000 sales reps. I got 300 employees. We do $500 million. Like, I got a pretty big job. I can't do it by myself. Raising 3 kids at home, I can't do it by myself. It's hard. So just like anything else, it's easier to have a teammate than it is to have an enemy. And I'd much rather lay in bed with my teammate than my enemy.
One of the themes I'm really picking up from you is teamwork, and maybe even asking for help when you need it. And I think a lot of men out there, and I think sadly so, some of the guys who feel most defeated think that they have to take on everything all by themselves. I mean, right. Can you imagine running this business, and I tried it. Begins and ends with you? Well, so tell us about that.
Yeah, I tried it. And I can tell you, I went as far, like, I'm pretty competitive by nature, and I'm alpha in the sense of, how most people try to view it. And, it was very hard for me to check down and ask for help, because I think as guys, we don't want to do that. We don't want to say, hey man, I'm struggling, because that's a hard thing to bring to the table. And what I realized is, and I did this the wrong way. In about 3 years ago, I just found out Enzo was, being born, and I'm going through this physical transformation myself because I let myself go and I'm battling back. Our business is finally getting to a point where it's doing well. And, you know, Andrew had his business, Chris had his business, and I'm running First Phorm. And, you know, we're finally getting a little momentum, you know, and I started realizing like, man, I'm in some waters right here. My life is drastically moving in a great direction, but I mean, I got a lot of shit, you know, we're hiring employees. My wife's pregnant. I'm trying to change my life. We're making business decisions. We have no cash. Like, you know, we're writing $1 million POs like they're, you know, like we're ordering cheeseburgers at dinner. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? I lost vision in my right eye. I couldn't see, you know, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm going to kill myself. Not in a sense, but like I'm literally going to work myself to death. And it came with this sense of like, you know, am I weak if I go into my guys and ask help? Am I going to like, are they going to think less of me, or are they going to think I'm not as good as I think I am? And, you know, when looking back now, it's such a stupid thing because we had come so far and we were doing so well that, I mean, it's crazy to think that, you know, hey, one guy, you're going to do this all. Like it's just a stupid thought. But it was my ego. And that's really hard to check, especially in your home life, you know? And so, you know, I realized like asking for help, it actually gave me the opportunity to build a deeper relationship with my staff and build a deeper relationship at home, because now I was empowering them and they were helping me and they felt like they were a bigger part of the team. And now I gave them more responsibility and they were helping me. And guess what? We became better friends. We became a better team. They became better individuals. They stepped up. They felt like they were a bigger part of the team. And man, I was like, holy shit, this is magical. Like my ego was holding me back from this feeling right here, this feeling of empowerment. And these guys are even better than I was. You know, these guys, they got more time. They love doing it. They have better skill sets. And I started to realize like, man, I can hire these people to these jobs and we can keep kicking ass and I can reload some, you know, get rid of some of the stress. And my life started to take off. And I'm not saying it got easier, but in my personality, it just gave us more things to do, right? Because I'm gonna go find things to do. But it allowed them, in the beauty of, and I think the very best thing, without question, that I do every single day, take dadding and husband out of it, but being inside this business and is watching our guys and girls spawn a career, you know, like take on life and, you know, make some good money. And these guys have grinded and struggled and they've been through high hell and high waters with me. And they literally have held my hand and we've been in battle together, and to watch them, you know, set their own seeds and grow their own fields has been the best accomplishment, you know, for my personal or for my professional career that I could ever imagine. And I've been talking about legacy for a long time. And I know that's like in the last 2 years seems to be the hot topic, but I've spoken to our staff about that the whole time. Is I have a weird comfortability with speaking about death, and I always got to be real careful about talking about it because I believe heavily in the law of attraction, and you know, and so I don't talk about it as publicly as maybe I want to. I know that sounds goofy, but because I don't want to.
It actually doesn't. When you get done with this, I'll share a quote that we talk about all the time on the show. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I always tell them, like, you know, my commitment to the team and to the staff and to our customer base is I want to give them every single ounce of me that I can. And I want to help them be the best dad, mother, brother, sister, husband, everything that I can. I want to be the best interaction. I want to be the ticket that changes their life. I really genuinely feel that. And my guys and girls know here that I would do anything for them. Fucking anything. And I call my kids. They've stayed at my house. I lend them money, help them buy houses. When they buy houses, I'm the guy who goes and inspects it with, and I co-sign for them. I would do anything for them. And the reason I love doing it, first and foremost, but secondarily, it's the comfort that I know that when I'm gone, that I'll have a group of people who I loved that'll take care of my kids. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's an extremely important piece of comfort, because you don't know when your time card is going to get punched. But what I can tell you is the likelihood of our time cards getting punched at the same time is not very good. And if I do a good enough job while I'm here, those people, those individuals, the ones that I poured my heart and soul and time and energy and effort into, helping them develop their lives and careers and relationships and giving them advice and changing them, hopefully physically and mentally and spiritually, they'll tell my kids about me. You know, that selfishness comes back to that narcissism, right? They'll tell them stories because the stories will live forever. I'm not going to. But the lessons, the core values, the structures, being a great man, being a good woman, those characteristics will be ingrained in our culture. And I know that if I'm not here, I know our culture will ingrain them back in my kids. And so that's my way of kind of creating this world and circle that we live in, through narcissism, as weird as that sounds.
The thing I love about everything that you've been talking about for the past 35 minutes is self-care, but doing it in a way to serve others, cultivating an amazing team, asking for help when you know you need it, which by the way, all these things are kind of hard for men. We're not taught these things.
Right.
We're taught like algebra and parallelograms and, all this
which mind
stuff.
you, I failed.
Right. Me too, by the way. And, all these different things. And you mentioned legacy.
Yep.
And I mean, if you look at my hat, it says legacy is forever. Yeah. I always say live legendary, legacy is forever. There's a quote that I always share on the show, and I selfishly, I share it because I always like to be reminded that it's always there. And we talked about how quickly time moves, right? But I think we as human beings, we always think like we have this infinite amount of time. We're
Correct.
we're thinking about today, 5 o'clock today. We're thinking about this weekend. That's really about it.
Yeah.
Maybe this summer.
Yeah.
But the quote is, the definition of hell is meeting the man that you could have been when you're on your deathbed.
That's right.
That one sticks with me big time. And I am into legacy as well. And I think unfortunately, and this fires me up, it pisses me off. And I think it's because I lived that life for so long, which is living in the drift.
Yeah.
Which is that I wake up, I have my coffee, wash, rinse, repeat. I have the same thing every day. How's your day? Good, fine, good, busy. That's the 3 favorite words that we love to say: good, fine, busy.
That's right.
Every question, every answer. Our wives not necessarily have the relationship we want with them, but we desperately want it. We just don't know how to get there. We want that connection with our kids. Sooner or later, we turn around, they're already grown up. We're like, holy crap, what the hell just happened? But the theme that I'm getting from you is like, I take care of myself so I can selflessly serve other people. And I do it within really tight, disciplined containers of time where I know exactly what I'm doing. Let me ask you this. Was this always so, like before marriage and all this other stuff? Or were you just, the feeling that I get, from your baseball career, you were in medical device sales as well. Yep. You were a hard worker. You took the plunge, you got involved with this particular organization. I know that was really scary for you.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of people around you in your circle were like, man, you're crazy. Like, what are you doing? You got this cush 6-figure job. You're in the OR. You're doing all this other stuff. But was it always that way, or was it just so fast and furious in the beginning and you had to learn those lessons the hard way?
I think the thing that I've been blessed with the most is perspective. Mm-hmm. And I've lived a lot of really cool lives. And I think that's I don't want to say superpower because that's really stupid, but I think that's my advantage, right? Is I lived a baseball life, which is my first love, career, job, had it ripped away from me. Okay. And you talk about the devilish term, I use regret. When you're on your deathbed, and I do 2 talks about the same thing, but the regret, is, and I write emails to my son all the time and to my daughters as well. Regret is the thing you should try to live your life with having the least regret when you die. You're going to have regret no matter what.
Sure.
But, the fear of regret should always motivate you to move. And baseball taught me that. There's a lot of things I regret because I didn't give the game what it deserved. I was talented enough. I was a good player. I wasn't a great player. I've always had a really hard work ethic. I'm a blue collar kid. I'm a grindstone type guy. But the truth of the matter is I didn't do everything I could. And the game gave that back to me. It basically kicked me in the mouth. And I deserved it. That's the truth. And I got to taste that regret. And I realized from that moment forward, okay, you know what? You had a unique opportunity. You drafted, you played professional baseball, you do all these things. 16 of the 27 guys that I played with on the team were on a World Series team. Like, I was there too. You know what I mean? I'm in the locker room, except I didn't have a jersey on. Like, that's a bad feeling. I had that regret. And I went through the depression. I've battled that war. And I realized at that point in time, like, all right, that's not good taste. It's not what I want. And it didn't kick into gear just like, I woke up the next day and said, hey, fuck this, I'm going after it. It took me a while to understand that. And I look back at me breaking my leg at that collision at home plate as one of the greatest days of my life because it gave me the perspective you need to take advantage of every opportunity, every day, every single day. Might be the last time you see somebody, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. You got to tell them you love them. You know, that person that's in front of you, give it to them. Everything you got, because it might be the last one you got. And if you could treat every single thing that you do in life as your last at bat, how hard would you swing? You know, and I think about baseball gave me that. And it took me a while to develop the life, right? Because then I sold copiers after that. Imagine that, right? I went from, you know, I was young, I was in good shape at the time. I thought I was a good looking dude playing professional baseball in St. Louis. Like, man, might as well be walking on water when I went to a bar. Like, I go into a bar and it'd be like, all right, you know, where are we going? You know, and mind you, we made $1,200 a month. We didn't make shit for money. I made more money bartending than I did playing baseball. But when I went into a bar, I thought it was a shit. And I don't even know where the hell I was going with that, but I felt like I had to get that in. But I went to selling copiers.
Right.
And I remember, you know, thinking, holy shit, man, I really kicked that one down the road, because I was the coolest guy in the world 6 months ago. And now I'm selling copiers, you know, and I realized, like, at the time, okay, I got to be the best at this. I got to get out of this situation. I got to be the best. And then I got into medical sales. Medical sales, had a pretty good gig, worked for Johnson & Johnson, you know, had some success, and we had the opportunity to come back here. And I think all those perspectives in those lifestyles, because I went from, you know, the cool kind of jock athlete thing to the proverbial put your suit on, go door to door salesman that, you know, nobody likes, but we try to figure out how to make it work, to the dream job. And I realized, like, none of these things were for me, in a sense. So I got that perspective too. And I call that the jellyfish perspective, the much of the go through life. Like, I didn't want to just go through life. The water is just pushing you around. And I think I had fallen into that trap. Hey, let's go get coffee by the water cooler. What time's fantasy football kickoff? You know, like, I found myself in that life. That's not what I wanted either. And so that perspective gave me the opportunity to come here. And a lot of people thought I was crazy. And there was only 4 or 5 people who supported the move. But it gave me the opportunity to not be a jellyfish, but to be a shark, you know, and go hunt for what I wanted. And you realize that about life. Again, it comes back to being selfish. Like, I didn't want what they wanted. You know, I was making $300,000-$400,000 a year. I was 27 years old. Everybody's like, you were crazy. I'm like, not really, man. Like, you know, like, money, it makes me happy. It does make things a lot easier in some sense, but, like, that's not what I want. I didn't want to do that all day, you know, and that perspective of regret and knowing that I didn't want to be a jellyfish, and that I had to take this opportunity, and I had to attack, and I had to go, and I had to give it everything I had if I was going to give it a chance to be successful, much like baseball, right? And instead of me just doing what everybody else does, which is to be the jellyfish in the water in life and just, hey, I got kids. Hey, we're married. You know, I'm unhappily married with kids. And, you know, I don't want that. It's not even that I want to be greatness. It's just that I want to live the best life that I possibly can. And I knew that's always on offense for me. And I have to attack, and I have to play the A game. And so coming to First Phorm gave me that. It put me in the waters to be that. And the perspective of not taking every day as a blessing and not taking every at bat as a gift, and the jellyfish merged together, allowed me to live this kind of fruitful, no regret, like, who gives a fuck lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I'm not one of these guys who's like, I don't give a shit what you think about me. That's not what I mean. I mean that I'm going to chase my dreams, and my dreams might not be your dreams, and that's okay. And I don't need to chase your dreams, and you don't need to chase my dreams. And I don't need to be comfortable with your dreams, and you don't need to be comfortable with mine. I'm going to go do the best that I can. And I'm going to go swing as hard as I fucking can every at bat. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to strike out, and sometimes you're going to hit home run. And everyone I'm going to learn from, and everyone I'm going to go up there and I'm going to grab the bat and I'm going to swing as hard as I can. And that's what I've learned. And, you know, sometimes I strike out still, but I don't have the regret of not grabbing the bat and going up to the plate. And that's the big thing that I learned in life.
Why do you think most men...
They're afraid of losing.
Give up. Yeah. Okay.
They're afraid of losing.
Yeah.
I've learned this. I mean, I handled...
You knew what I was going to ask.
Of course. I get asked this all the time. I mean, one of my best gifts is I'm a pretty open book. People always, can I ask you? I mean, you can ask me anything. I'm cool with it. I'm comfortable with it. I'm very comfortable with who I am. And it's because of what you just asked. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to fail. And it is the key component to life and understanding that you never know unless you try. And going back to regret, I always want to email. I started an email address for my son and for my daughters.
Saw that.
Yeah. And so I email them. And I always, read the lessons, and I always tell them, we talked about today. So the email I wrote him the other day was actually from a dad book, but it was, sometimes the solve to the problem is a sledgehammer. Sometimes the solve to the problem is a long walk. And it was about, sometimes you got to fight it and sometimes you got to walk from it. Yeah. But I wrote him one not too long ago and I said, hey, I don't know how old you are when you're going to read this, but until you're in, a marriage type relationship, always ask the hottest chick in the bar out. Always. And the thing is most guys never ask the hottest chick in the bar out. Why?
They go up to their friends.
That's right. Well, yeah, that's exactly right. Why? Because they're afraid of the simple word no.
Right.
They're not afraid of anything else. They're a fear of rejection or failure. And when we cross that stream, it's really dangerous because it's like, what happens if she says yes, man? Like, what happens if she says yes? And you get one shot with the hottest chick you ever thought you could take on a date. Go. And you think about life as an at bat that way. Go. Like, don't be afraid of it. And all too often we're afraid. If I didn't take the plunge of everybody else's dream, right? Leaving J&J and coming here, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be the dad I am. I wouldn't be the husband I am, the leader. I wouldn't have the life I have. And it has nothing to do with money. It has to do with who I am and my heart and soul and mind and spirit. And that fear reigns in all of us because we're afraid of what our friends are going to say or what our peers are going to think of us or what your neighbor's going to say. And like, my best advice is, dude, fuck them. And I don't mean that like, sorry, I know I dropped I'm actually controlled today in my F-bombs.
It's called dad edge.
Okay. So but in my head, it's like, fuck them, man. Like you're confined in your own little world.
Yeah.
Because of what they are going to say about you. And what you have to realize is goes back to you. What are you going to say about you when you're on your deathbed? Mm-hmm. You're going to say you should have walked up and asked that chick out. That's what you should have said. And one of the best gifts that I hope to give my children is, and my girls too, not just my son, is to make sure you live life that way. Go for it. Dude, go for the jugular. Play the game. Don't be afraid to strike out. You're going to strike out. Mm-hmm. And the biggest strikeout in the whole entire world is not walking up to the plate.
Yeah. The theme is right there is that there's a bigger fear of not trying.
That's correct.
Right. And it's okay to, in fact, fail forward. In our family with my boys, I say fail fast.
That's right.
Fail fast, fail often, but learn.
That's right. It's a quick lesson.
That way you can learn. Let me ask you this. Yeah. How long have you guys been married?
7 years.
7 years. Okay. So let's put you in a situation here.
Yeah.
You get to have dinner with yourself. Call it 8 years ago.
Yep.
Okay. You're sitting across from yourself, having your own favorite meal. It's you, Sal, now, 8 years ago, Sal. And you have the opportunity to give yourself a few pieces of advice of what's to come. You know what's to come, but he on the other side has no clue. What would you say to him?
God. Man, that's a really good question. And I was like, my first instinct, and I don't know this is the answer. My first instinct was travel more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I laughed because I just got done telling one of my guys today, like before my wife and I had Enzo that year, we went 6 times to Mexico. We were adventurous, right? Like we would take the Apple vacation deal and whatever was the $6.95 deal or, the $8.95 deal, we would take off and we'd go off Thursday to Monday. And that was one of the advantages to being in medical sales. I didn't have a boss. He was in Chicago. He didn't care if I was gone. As long as my numbers hit, he didn't care. And my wife she was in nursing and she could take off and make. So I traveled a lot. That's a really good question. And it would have to lie. And I don't know this is the exact answer either. It would have to be more adventurous early. And I think, all too often we get set in our own little ways. And I can share this with you, and this isn't the answer that maybe that you're looking for. It's not the aha moment by any means. But when I say be more adventurous is do the things that scare you most first, because you never know, you might like them and you're going to have more time to do those things. And I say that because running my first half marathon at 35 was one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life. I know that's really weird. Okay. I was a really good athlete in high school, college, after blah, 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 blah. I told myself when I'm just like, probably 100,000 of your listeners, when I get done playing sports, I'm never running again. Okay. Well, that was a stupid saying. And if you say it, it's a stupid saying because and the truth of the matter is I was scared to run it and I was scared to run the race because it was hard and because I had to do something I wasn't good at. And what happens if I failed or I wasn't good at it? Then everybody's going to know because there's a time measurement to it. And when I ran my first half marathon, I was sitting at dinner with a guy. It was for my 35th birthday. He said, I'm running a half marathon in 35 days. You should run it with me. And I said, well, fuck. Did
you say in 35 days?
Yeah, in 35 days. Okay. Now, mind you, I hadn't run a mile. You know what I mean? I'm like, ugh. But this is the ego side of me. Yeah, I get that done. You know, and he's like, you want to, and we bet on everything. And he's like, bet? And I'm like, bet. Let's take it. Yeah. So then I got all these guys to run with me. But I remember crossing that finish line that day. And I literally started crying. And I started tearing up. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I remember laughing at myself, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But it's because I had done something that I was afraid of. Mm-hmm. And I accomplished it. And it was the greatest feeling of winning coming back into my life. And a lot of people, and Andrew and I argue about this all the time. Do you fight because you hate losing, or do you fight because you love winning? And Andrew will tell you it's losing, and I'll tell you it's winning. And if you know Andrew and I, we're yin and yang, black and white. And my thing is like I had won that day. And, you know, yeah, I didn't win the world record. I ran like a 2:03, which is, you know, a touch faster than a snail's pace. But I won against me, you know, and I was adventurous, right? I broke outside my mold. Back to your question, like, what's the advice I would give you? And I had done something that I said I would never do. And since then, that gave me the freedom to go do things that I said I would never do. Last weekend, I rucked a marathon for my 40th birthday. I put 40 pounds on my back. We rucked a marathon. Had 25 guys go, right? Like, what part of that sounds fun? None. It was one of the best days of my life. You know, I've done Ironmans. We've run, at this point, I don't even know how many half marathons and things we've done across the country and stupid mud runs. And those are all adventures that I've done because I ran the first one. You know, I checked the first box. I stepped up to the plate the first time. And I think that adventurous side, you know, to life, you know, what advice would I give myself going back to it is, you know, be adventurous in life earlier than often. Yeah. You know, and it gives you the opportunity to see what you like and don't like and what you can love and what you can experience. And, you know, you never know. And this goes for travel or adventure or really, like, I say this all the time, and sorry for the young ladies in the room, like, you know, sex with your wife, you never know what you're going to like or don't like. Go for it. Ask. You know what I mean? Maybe you like it. Maybe you don't. Who knows? Maybe the freaking side of you lives. Who cares? Ask. What's she going to say? No. But the adventure starts early, right? Yeah. And so understanding, you know, you never know how cold the water is until you put your feet in it, the sands between your toes, or what, you know, what is the smell of a campfire next to the Rocky Mountains? Like, what does it smell like? What's a beer taste like? What is it? Go chase it. Don't be afraid of it. And I think, you know, the earlier side of my life, if we're going back maybe 20 years, you check your ego at the door and go play. That's what I would give myself.
Dang, man. Marriage advice. What would you tell yourself?
Honesty.
Okay.
I think honesty is the best thing that I learned later in life that's changed my life drastically.
Even when the truth hurts.
The truth is the best. It is the best equalizer of all things.
I've heard you talk about that before. Yeah.
It's one of those things for me that, and I'm an open book, you know, like, I lied in every single relationship I had, you know, because at 20, that's what you do. You're a college kid. Like, you know, I mean, unfortunately, that's a lot of guys are wired that way. And I was really wired that way. Maybe not a lot, but some. And, you know, I was like, hey, you know, I was a young athlete and professional athlete. Like, you had a couple of girlfriends. That's part of the deal. And I was always telling a story, and I was always lying, and, you know, and you always had to keep the thing alive. And then it transitioned into business a little bit, and I never felt good about it. I never did. And I remember just one day I said, I'm not lying anymore. I'm done. I'm done. Like, that's it. And I remember at that point in time, like, my relationships got better across the board, friendships, business, just girlfriends in general. I would walk up to them and I would, you know, even when I met my wife, like, hey, listen, like, this is what I want, what I don't want. This is what I like, what I don't like. If that's cool with you, it's cool with me. If it's not cool with you, I'm cool with that. And we started it from the jump that way. And we've always had that bond in truth. And she's, you know, we have the best relationship, in my opinion. I love her. I'd tell her anything. I'd do anything with her. I'm comfortable with her. And it feels so good to lay in bed with somebody knowing that there's no stone that you need to make sure is covered. I've laid in that bed too. And the earlier I became honest, or the second I became honest, all aspects of my life changed, specifically my relationship. And so I think honesty, and dude, that's not just relationship advice. Yeah. That's life advice.
It's a powerful thing, man. I mean, it really, really is. And I think a lot of people, you know, if you're with someone and you know where you stand with them.
That's right.
Like my wife, I've known her for 25 years. We've been married for 18. And man, she's very honest with me. I'm very honest with her, but like, I love that about, there's no fluff.
That's right.
Like she doesn't give me lip service, you know, I know, and we know where we stand with each other.
That's right.
Very honest, which is cool.
Well, I think there's a piece to that too, right? The truth does not have to be combative.
It doesn't.
And I think in relationships, you know, specifically like in leadership roles or anything, you know, the reason nobody wants to tell the truth is because they're afraid of the conversation or the reaction that's going to happen. And I think, you know, understanding where you can, I always talk about laying your cards on the table. Hey, listen, I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
This is how I feel.
Right.
And I think that's really hard with guys to say, hey, this is how I feel, because they're afraid of that word.
Oh yeah.
And I tell my guys and girls that all the time. Like that's why I'm extremely comfortable with who I am, because like, hey bro, you get what you get. And if I don't like it, I'll let you know, and it doesn't mean I hate you. It just means I don't like it. And I think when I started to learn to live life that way, you know, my relationships became a lot deeper in all aspects of my life, because it's like, now we get to talk the real talk.
Right.
You know, not the roundabout, maybe get to the truth. Like, let's just set the cards on the table. Let's see what we got. So
I love that, man. That's solid advice. One final question I have for you, and this is, so I asked you about past, right? Conversations you had with you. So I want you to, are you guys having any more kids?
No.
Okay.
I'm done, bro.
Yeah, me too.
I'm 40.
Yeah.
I'm 40. Right. I think about being the 40-year-old dad, and I think, all right. And I think, now I'm done with them diapers.
Dude.
And my thing goes back to is, I want to live the best life possible. And part of that is her and I, you know, and I don't want to make my whole entire life about raising kids. And my dad was one of 12. And so, you know, I watched my grandma. I mean, she was a mom her whole entire life, which for some people works great. For my wife and I, like, I want to have the chapter for us. And that chapter, it's not right around the corner by any means, but it's closer. And I think, you know, looking forward to spending that time together is important. That was a decision we made together. It's like, hey, listen, maybe one more, maybe. And then we kind of got to a point where it's like, I kind of like our little party of 5. And so we're going to rock with that. And so, I think it'll just be from here on in for Sal, a party of 5.
There you go. Yeah. I like it, man. Yeah. We had my last one when I was 40. And he was, as we talked about it, we call him the Memorial Day baby for a reason. Yeah. You know?
Bud Lights are fucking motherfucker.
You were not kidding, but it's funny. Like I've got my oldest 15. So when we're at his track meets and my 13-year-old at his football games, like we look like his dad, right?
Yeah.
And mom. Now, fast forward to where my youngest is going to be, I'll be 55, and they'll be like, is that grandpa or is that dad? You know, so I'm going to stick to first Phorm Supplements so I stay looking young.
Hey, listen, I was going to say, you look damn good.
Thank you. It's a lot of water. 75 hard. I've done it 4 times.
Have you really?
And the gallon
good
of water.
For you.
Yeah, man. The gallon of water thing is the easiest for me, because I've been doing that for 20 something years now.
Listen, water, it's the body's cure all.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they don't, and they don't realize how simple base level nutrition is.
I agree, man.
A lot of good things happen with water.
I agree.
Including make beer.
That's right. Or rehydrate the next day.
That's correct.
Final question I have for you though is this. So you're sitting at dinner.
Yep.
With your girls, Enzo, your wife, and you're 40 now, 25 years from now, you're 65.
65.
Enzo is how old? He's 4?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. So he'll be almost 30.
Yeah, he's 29.
Yeah. And your girls will be 27. Yeah. Is that correct? Okay.
27, 28.
And you guys will be sitting around.
Yeah.
And you each hold up your glass, whatever it is you're drinking, and you cheers to the amazing memories and the life that your family has created together over the past 25 years. What are you guys talking about?
Wow. You're going to make me cry. Fuck. I mean, there's so many things I hope to talk about with my children. First and foremost, I hope I'm there.
You take those first Phorm greens, man, you'll be good.
I know, right? I know. It's definitely the foundation. Gosh, what do I hope? Well, first and foremost, I hope health. Yeah. Take the death thing, into total consideration. I want my kids to be healthy. I want my kids to be happy. And I think happy starts with confidence. And I think if I were to cheers my kids in 25 years, I want to let them know that, first and foremost, I hope that I'm able to thank God for their health. But I want them to know that, I wish everything upon their life and happiness and confidence and love, and knowing that, I did everything that I possibly could to give them the best life for them, not for me, for them. And no matter what they do, I'm going to be proud of them, and I'm going to support them, and I'm going to love them. And I hope that I'm the best dad that any person that they could ever imagine being compared to. And I hope I lived up to that. And if I can say that with confidence, I'll feel really, really good about it. Because I've learned that money comes and goes. And just because we're successful now doesn't mean we'll be successful then. But with good intentions, I can still be a great dad. I can still show them characteristic traits that don't require things. They require experiences. And I want to be able to look them in their eyes and let them know that I fought for them. And I give them everything I fucking had.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Appreciate it.
What about this? If Enzo were to say, Dad, you taught me some amazing things, and here's what they are. What would you hope to hear?
I think building a man of character is the best thing that you can do as a dad. And I know not everybody has boys, but for me, there are very few men of character, and I live in a world now where I don't even sign very many contracts. I try to shake my people's hands and look them in the eyes. I mean, I spend hundreds of millions of dollars with these men, and it's always really weird to them, but I'm very confident in we would live by a set of core values, and they're everywhere in our building. Be selfless, always be learning, loyalty, lead by example, be humble. We have this set of core values. And I think when you really unpack them, when you reach across the table and shake another man's hand, if the words and conversations that are said about you when you're not there represent those core values, they'll shake your hand and let you ride. And I think, to build a man of character, it's the conversations that happen when you're not there that are most important. And I hope that when he's 29, he's probably still making some mistakes. But I think loyalty above all, is that if you're loyal to your friends and family and you're a man of your word, that you can get a lot of fucking shit done in life. And I don't waver on that. Never. If I tell you, I don't care what it is. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I don't care if it costs me money. I will be there. It will get done. And I hope by 29, he's starting to understand that. And because not only the best business relationships that I have, the best friendships I have, everything that matters to me in life is built off that concept. Is that I hope, I'm quite confident, that people, when they think of me, they think of loyal. And I hope that I'm able to give them that.
Dude, that is so well said. Seriously, man, you make me cry now. Come on, I'm raising young men, man. And, to be able to hear something like that and know that that's what you passed on.
Yeah.
It's very powerful stuff, man.
Cool.
I want to make sure the audience can find everywhere you're at. Mr. Frisella, I know
Mr.
on Instagram.
Frisella.
Yeah, but
I'm back from the days whenever you made a stupid name and then I tried to go get my name and then some punk ass kid had it. Now he's trying to sell it to me. And then I tried to buy it and then he wants more money for it. So now at a principal, I'm like, I'm just Mr. Frisella.
Right.
If you need to figure me out, you'll figure it out.
That's awesome.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like I'm getting exploited for my own damn name.
That's crazy. I have yet to hear that one.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
He wanted $5,000. And at first, for the $1,000, I should have paid it. But at the time I was like, man, I'm paying somebody $1,000 for the Instagram. Then he came back and said I had one $5,000 for it. And I'm like, you said $1,000.
Yeah.
And this is the principle of the world.
Perfect example.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right?
Hey bro, we already, we have this number.
Right.
And then he fell out. And then after he fell out, I was like, no, it's all good. I'm good.
Yep.
And so that's how I am by nature. If you cross me one time, that's all I need.
I think that is a good rule to follow and a good lesson for the guys to listen, because I mean, hey, you've got the $5,000 to pay it, but it was on principle. It was on character, right? The guy said one thing and did another.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, man. I have thoroughly enjoyed this.
I did as well.
Very, very much. To get to know, I mean, obviously I've known you from a distance for a while, but to hear all these different things, the journey you've gone through, what you stand for, I mean, it it just makes me love you more, man. And what you guys are doing here at First Phorm and the products you put out and everything you're doing.
I appreciate that greatly.
Good work, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show. It's an honor.
Man, this is awesome.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.